She was the Prom Queen Killer, a monster born from heartbreak, abuse, and unspeakable trauma. Now Loralee Hardy has been sent back in time with the chance to stop the massacre and save the girl she loved. But in Strickfield, some fates aren't meant to be rewritten.
What's that? You want to be scared? Come with me. You will experience tales of horror, ghosts, and death. It is not recommended for the weak at heart. Listen in the dark. It's more fun that way. This is Weekly Spooky.
Hello, my spookies. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for a little spooky in your weekly. I'm your host and narrator Enrique Couto, and tonight we dive into the penultimate episode of our summer mini-series, Deadly Second Chances. So if you haven't listened to the last 3 episodes, you may want to give them a quick listen before you dive in, but don't worry. We have a little recap at the beginning to keep you up to speed. But before we get to that, I want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for listening and supporting the program. You are the spookies who love Halloween even in the bright summer sun. You take after my own black heart. So thank you, and if you want to support us and get 2 bonus shows every single month, just head to weeklyspooky.com/join for as little as $1 a month. It makes such a huge difference to me and the show, and you get over 4 years of exclusive audiobooks, creepypasta readings, and so much more at weeklyspooky.com/join. But as for tonight, our tale isn't about monsters in the shadows. It's about the ones inside us. Loralee Hardy's life has been nothing but pain. Abused by her brother, broken by grief, and driven to madness. She became one of Strickfield's most terrifying legends, the Prom Queen Killer. But now the goddess Hellweaver has given her one final chance. Rewrite her story, save her love, escape the rage. Can Loralee overcome the demons that live within her, or will she write her legend in blood all over again? All will be revealed after this. Previously on Deadly Second Chances, Sin gives Hellweaver a tome containing the Second Chance Compact, allowing her to offer 5 beings second chances. If 3 fail, Hellweaver can claim their souls and escape perdition. Hellweaver captured the soul of AIDS Mary for failing to change her life for the better. However, she failed to capture the souls of 2 Mirrans in Jensen and Calvin. Once thought irredeemable, they found it within themselves to make better choices and change their lives. Down 2-1, Hellweaver has a new prospect for obtaining her second soul. Will she finally succeed, or will this next chapter of Deadly Second Chances prove to be the final nail in the coffin of Hellweaver's hope for escape? Deadly Second Chances Part 4 by Rob Fields. Perdition. Sin watched as Hellweaver, her mother, brought up the history of another seemingly tortured soul through the Infinity Core. I have been watching this one for some time, Hellweaver said. The life of Loralee Hardy is by no means a happy one. They watched the story unfold, showing the abuse Loralee suffered at the hands of her older brother Aiden since childhood. Even though their mother broke up most every instance and would sometimes punish Aiden, he never ultimately backed off of Loralee. As they grew closer to adulthood, Aiden began noticing his sister's sexuality and began attacking her through homophobia. Not only did Aiden belittle Loralee, he would discreetly follow her to see where she went and who she hooked up with. One day he discovered Loralee was involved with Deborah Lehman. When Loralee left, Aiden assaulted Deborah and hospitalized her. Days later, the Hardy family was on a freeway in Shore City. Aiden revealed his attack on Deborah to Loralee, causing her to snap. A fight broke out between Loralee and Aiden in the car, causing a fatal accident on the freeway that claimed the lives of both Aiden and their mother. Loralee felt so guilty about the deaths of her mother and brother that she developed multiple personality disorder, giving herself the illusion that her family was still alive. She moved to Strickfield and lived on her deceased father's insurance money with her family. From there, she gained a new circle of friends and a few new girlfriends. The Aiden personality often proved stronger as it emerged and killed through Loralee. It was at Strickfield High Junior and Senior Prom that the truth about Loralee was finally revealed by Taylor Mirren. Loralee was finally killed herself and then returned to Shore City, where she would be laid to rest. After that horrible night, Loralee came to be known as the Prom Queen Killer. Loralee Hardy would not remain at rest, however. Months later, a group of Shore City East High School students drove to Greenlawn Cemetery and found Loralee's grave. Melisande La Pala was known to practice black magic. For seemingly entertainment-only purposes, Melisande recited a spell over Loralee's grave to supposedly restore her to life. Unbeknownst to the group, especially Melisande, the spell worked. Loralee returned to the mortal realm as a supernaturally powered revenant, falling in love with Melisande and vowing to win her heart. It was at the Shore City East High School homecoming dance where Loralee and Melisande brutally massacred many of the student body and teachers in attendance. The unholy couple, as they came to be named, left together afterwards. But this story has a most unfortunate ending, Hellweaver concluded. Just days after, a group of vengeful mortals found the two of them, wanting justice for the souls they destroyed at that school event. Loralee kept her attackers back. Melisande, however, was not so fortunate. Mother and daughter watched as a posse member raised his shotgun and blew Melisande's brains out. Loralee went into a rage and experienced an incredible boost in strength. She threw off the posse members who had overwhelmed her before breaking and battering those unfortunate enough to be in her path. The posse tried shooting Loralee down, but the Revenant was far too enraged to go down so easily. Only her brother Aiden had caused her to experience that rage before. Loralee continued to make a bloody scene in the park where the two lovers had been found. When the police arrived, They also fired on Loralee. At least the police knew to back off when Loralee wouldn't die. Unfortunately, the remaining posse refused to listen to them and was finished off by Loralee. Now the enraged revenant gazed at the police, her body soaked and dripping with the blood of those she destroyed. Loralee frightened the police when she held her fists high and screamed a horrifying, disembodied scream of pain for her lost Melisande. Hellweaver knew it was time to act. As before, she left her physical body as an astral projection and ascended. Soon she landed a short distance from Loralee. When the police beheld all that was Hellweaver, they lowered their weapons. Somehow they understood they were no match for the goddess. "Be gone!" Hellweaver ordered them. When they hesitated, she used her eye beams to hurry them along. Once the police got back into their vehicles and left, Hellweaver turned her attention to Loralee Hardy.
Don't go away. Weekly Spooky will be right back.
Loralee's fists were still clenched as she bellowed another disembodied scream at Hellweaver. Then Loralee heaved, ready to attack the goddess. "I can offer you an opportunity to gain your love back, Loralee Hardy," Hellweaver said. Loralee pointed right at her. "You do not talk to me in that way. These bastards killed my Melisande, and you wish for her to be alive and well again. This is why I shall offer you a second chance to potentially win her back." "I want Melisande back and alive, now!" Loralee screamed at the top of her lungs. Hellweaver folded her arms in front of her. "I could easily restore your love back to you as she was before, but I feel that even you could not afford such a high price. Believe me when I say that you are better off taking the second chance that I offer. Should you change your life for the better, you may regain Melisande La Paula, and perhaps a better life for the both of you." "And if I fail?" Loralee demanded, showing she wasn't oblivious to how this demonic goddess worked. "Then your soul shall become mine in reservation for a total of 2. Upon capturing the final soul, then I shall return to claim yours and one other. This is your one opportunity to gain your love back, Loralee Hardy. Choose." The pain Loralee felt over her lost Melisande was too much to bear. "Yes." Loralee told Hellweaver to place her back on a day where the fatal accident in Shore City hadn't happened yet. As with the others that Hellweaver offered the second chance compact to, she warned Loralee about how fate was not so easy to escape. From there, Hellweaver kept her end of this latest bargain and honored Loralee's request. 5 years ago, Loralee Hardy suddenly found herself back in her original home in Shore City. She couldn't believe Hellweaver was powerful enough to bend the very fabric of space and time to be able to move her from her present day and back to this moment. Loralee rested on her bed and saw her phone next to her. She picked it up and observed the date. The fatal accident on Interstate 71 would soon come. She vowed that accident would never happen, even if it meant her cruel older brother Aiden would live. Feeling an overwhelming sense of renewal, she got off her bed and left her room to go to the kitchen where her mother, Ridge, was preparing breakfast. As if sensing her presence, Ridge turned to her daughter. "Loralee, did you get Aiden up like I asked?" Before Loralee could answer, Aiden rudely shoved her aside. "Loralee knows it'll be her ass if she comes in my room." Suddenly, Aiden snatched her phone. "How many of your little girlfriends are you talking to today?" "God damn it, Aiden!" Loralee yelled. "Give me my phone!" Before Ridge could try and restore order, Aiden tightened his jaw and pointed to the phone as he addressed their mother. "Look at this shit! She's clearly been seeing this Deborah Lehman girl." Loralee roared and rushed at Aiden, but he easily shoved her to the floor. "Aiden, stop!" Ridge yelled. "Give Loralee back her phone right now!" Aiden tightened his jaw and looked ready to kick Loralee as she was getting up. He didn't want to get on Ridge's bad side and threw the phone at Loralee. As she managed to catch it, she remembered Aiden would find her and Deborah Lehman together at Shore City East High School at the football field. "I'm leaving," Loralee told her mother. Aiden grabbed her arm. "No, you ain't. You ain't getting with no more girls." Loralee broke his hold on her and glared at him. "What I do and who I talk to are none of your goddamn business." Not wanting to be around Aiden anymore, and knowing she had to save Deborah, she quickly left the house. Loralee hid out of sight and texted Deborah. She was right about Aiden coming outside to look for her. When he couldn't find her, he cursed before going back inside and slamming the door. Deborah responded to Loralee's text and agreed to meet her where she asked. 20 minutes later. Loralee was a sophomore at Shore City East High School at this point. Unfortunately, Aiden was a junior there, which was why she arranged to meet Deborah in the varsity girls' locker room instead of near the football field. When Deborah saw Loralee, she approached her fast. Loralee's eyes widened when Deborah wrapped her arms around her and kissed her. But then she remembered they were seeing each other at this moment in time. When they finally parted, they faced each other. Loralee warned Deborah that she was in danger and explained that Aiden would come for her. When Deborah said she wasn't afraid of him, Loralee tried telling Deborah that he was obsessed and would stop at nothing to make their lives hell. Loralee's eyes widened when she saw someone coming at them, fast. "Deborah, move!" Loralee shoved Deborah out of the way as Aiden raised the crowbar to strike. Loralee barely heard Deborah scream when Aiden struck her hard on the side of her head. Loralee felt dizzy as she reached out for Deborah. Everything faded to black as Loralee dropped to the floor.
You're not safe yet. Weekly Spooky will be right back.
Time unknown. Loralee woke up in bed in a strange house. "You're okay now, Loralee," someone said nearby. Loralee gasped when she sat up and saw August Boldman, the first person she killed in Greenlawn Cemetery upon her resurrection in her former timeline, sitting in a recliner. How did I get here?" Loralee stammered. August explained how Deborah ran into him and begged him for help. "She asked me to call an ambulance for you. I didn't have my phone, so Deborah went to the office." He further explained how Loralee was loaded into the ambulance and taken to the hospital. "But how am I here?" Loralee persisted. "Deborah and I brought you here," August answered. "When we came to visit you at the hospital the next day, the nurse said you got up and left. After confirming you didn't go home, Deborah and I looked for you. We found you disoriented in Gunter Square. Deborah couldn't keep you at her house, and she didn't want you going back home to your brother who hit you. I told Deborah you could stay here." He leaned forward. "How are you feeling?" Much to her surprise, she felt much stronger and got off the bed. "I'm okay now." August asked Loralee more questions before agreeing to them attending school together. 15 minutes later. When Loralee and August arrived at school, they found Deborah Lehman at her locker, along with the others in her circle of friends. Loralee remembered Arnie Razor Rathman, the rumbling giant with a good heart, and saw he still cared when he smiled. She also remembered Britt Speedman and Valinda Bright, especially Valinda. And then there was Melisande LaPaula. At first, Loralee wanted to reach out to her, but decided against it, remembering she would have to win Melisande's love all over again. When Deborah saw Loralee and August, she gave them a warm smile. "I'm so glad you're okay, Loralee." She assured her that she was. Then Deborah revealed that Aiden had cornered her and demanded to know where Loralee was. Fortunately, they were in public, so he couldn't attack her. In fact, when Loralee looked at the date on her phone, she knew she had saved Deborah. However, the day of the Interstate 71 accident was dangerously close. 2 days later. Loralee remembered the events on this particular Saturday prior to the accident. She also remembered being with Misty Blint in Strickfield 2 years later, then entering into a forbidden love affair with her older sister Cheryl just after Misty was murdered by her Aiden personality. But that romance ended when Cheryl teamed up with Taylor Mirren to take her down while the Aiden personality was in control again. In fact, Cheryl was the one who finally killed Loralee. By preventing what was soon to happen, Loralee would never move to Strickfield or meet anyone there. The legacy of the Prom Queen Killer would never be born. Suddenly, Aiden burst into Loralee's room. "What little girlfriend are you talking to now?" When Aiden came at her, Loralee quickly got off her bed to keep it separating them. "Give me that phone. I want to know who I gotta beat up," he yelled. "I know you're still getting it on with other girls. When Loralee wouldn't answer, Aiden revealed a baseball bat. That's fine. I don't mind making you bleed again. Loralee felt her anger growing. I told you before. None of your goddamn business. Now, get out of my room. Aiden couldn't believe what he had just heard. What you say to me, dyke? He raised the bat. I'll come on over there and fuck you up. When Aiden came around Loralee's bed, he raised the bat again. When he swung, she surprisingly caught it. Even more surprising, she turned her wrist slightly to snap the wooden bat in two. Without realizing it, she snatched his throat and easily lifted him off the floor. Aiden struggled to break loose as she found she could walk him to her doorway and dump him out in the hall. Just then, Ridge was right on them. What is going on here? She demanded. We're supposed to go shopping, and Aiden quickly stood up and went at Loralee again. She stopped his fist by grabbing his wrist. Before Aiden could use his other fist, Loralee kicked his groin with her bare foot to send him to his knees. Loralee let go of Aiden's wrist and punched him hard enough to make sure he felt it. Ridge quickly inserted herself in between them and yelled, Stop this! Aiden slowly sat up, holding his groin with one hand and his jaw with the other. He gave Loralee a look, saying that he would never leave her alone. You and Aiden can go shopping today, she told her mother. I'm not going. Ridge admonished both of her children, mostly Aiden for always bullying Loralee. Overall, she told them they could either start getting along or they didn't have to stay with her. Aiden pointed up at Loralee. I ain't getting along with no lesbian. I'll kill you first. Just then, the doorbell rang. Aiden sprang in front of Loralee to intercept Deborah. Except when Aiden answered the door. Is Loralee home? A guy asked. August, hi! Loralee replied and invited him in. Then she took his hand. Yeah, Mom, I wanted this to be a surprise. I'm actually going on a date with August. He smiled softly and said to Ridge, Yeah, I just came by to get Loralee. I hope that's okay. When Ridge nodded, Loralee went back into her room. When she came back out, she headed for the door, not waiting for her mother to say anything more. She left the house with August. Aiden tightened his jaw and wondered, what was Loralee up to?
Did you hear that? Better check the locks on your doors. Weekly Spooky will be right back.
2 years later, Loralee was a senior now. She couldn't believe how close she and August Boldman were. When August made the first move and kissed Loralee on that supposed first date, she surprisingly returned his affection. She couldn't believe the way he made her feel. Now they were spooned up in his bed under the covers. She accepted her second chance with Hellweaver to rekindle her love with Melisandre Paula, but her new choices caused her to have honest-to-goodness feelings for a guy. In fact, this wasn't the first night they had slept together. Now she was living with August. Funny, she had never once seen his parents, but she didn't care. As for school, she was in with his group now, At first, things were a little rocky between her and Deborah Lehman, but they talked it out. When it was agreed they weren't really dating, they came to an understanding. As for Loralee and August, they became a high-profile couple at Shore City East High. Principal Theodore Gastor even scowled at them whenever he'd seen them together. Reese Claiborne and Ali Prince now had Loralee in their sights. Unfortunately, they gave themselves away to her, especially when they had no idea they were dealing with a future version. Remembering their reign of terror from before, Loralee targeted the two of them. In time, Loralee learned what gym Ali worked out at. Since Loralee herself didn't have a membership, she had to break in. She knew where the cameras were being controlled and disabled the system. With Ali all alone on a late Saturday night and no one around, Loralee surprised her by grabbing the barbell she was lifting and pushing down enough to strangle her to death. Ali was a muscle woman, but Loralee proved to be stronger. Loralee wiped everything she touched for prints and reapplied Ali's to the barbell before leaving. Ali's death was ruled an accident. Loralee decided she really didn't need to kill Reese Claiborne. Without Ali Prinz, the ultra-rich girl's threats became empty and idle, since it was just one of her against the rest of the student body. With the biggest threats eliminated, there was nothing to stand in the way of Loralee's happiness with August. Or so she thought. 1 week later, Loralee and August were leaving school holding hands. When the couple reached his house, someone ran up to them and hit Loralee from behind with a tire iron. When Loralee found herself on her hands and knees, she heard August fighting her attacker. Then she heard August's groan and knew her attacker had knocked him unconscious. "Guess I did what Mom said, Loralee," Aiden yelled. "You know how many times Mom got on me about going out and looking for you since you ran away? Do you?" Aiden swung and caught Loralee across the face when she turned onto her rear. Now she was flat on her back. "I'm so sick of Mom loving you more than me," Aiden continued. "I'm the right one here. You're the one who's sick in the head, getting with other girls." He pointed to August. "You ain't fooling me using this asshole here as some kind of beard." Aiden kept beating Loralee with the tire iron as she kept trying to get up. "Stay down," Aiden roared. "Or don't. That's fine with me. I'll just beat you down like I did before when I caught you and Deborah Lehman that day. You ain't getting with no more girls." "Leave her alone," August yelled. Loralee looked up to see August resume his fight with Aiden. This gave Loralee more than enough time to get back to her feet. Aiden hit August with the tire iron again. Then he forcefully kicked August in the stomach, causing him to hit the side of his house hard and fall forward. Aiden raised his tire iron to smash the back of August's head as he was getting up. Loralee snatched his wrist to make him cry out and dropped the iron. Then she made him cry out more when she forced him to his knees. Aiden kept resisting her and tried to get back up. Loralee stopped him abruptly by simply turning her wrist which broke Aiden's forearm, causing the bones to protrude through the skin. Aiden screamed at the overwhelming pain, but Loralee wouldn't let go. You know, you could have just been your usual bigoted douchebag self and told Mom you weren't going to look for me, period. But you clearly came after me to kill me, and maybe even my boyfriend. That's right, Aiden. I'm actually in love with this guy. Loralee snatched Aiden's jaw with her free hand. You will always be a danger to me and whoever I'm with. Just so we're clear, you're not going home. Aiden groaned hard when Loralee stuck her fingers in his mouth and began pulling hard on his jaw. Stop! Aiden groaned, grabbing Loralee's arm with his good hand. Ah! With one good, hard yank, Loralee ripped Aiden's jaw clean from his face and skull. When she let him go, Aiden was frantic as he gurgled his screams while his tongue wriggled and lashed wildly. Aiden fell over, went limp, and bled to death.
If you thought that was scary, just you wait. Weekly Spooky will be right back.
When August came around, he saw Aiden's jaw in her hand with blood all over it. Then he saw Aiden's body and knew what Loralee had done. She dropped the jawbone and began to cry at knowing she might lose August. You don't understand, Loralee protested. Aiden would never have left us alone. I had to kill him. August didn't seem too upset and looked down at Aiden's corpse. It's okay. Loralee held herself. What do we do now? August moved to her and held her close. Shh, it's okay. No one else needs to know. When Loralee looked at August, they shared a long, passionate kiss. When they finished, they worked together to cover up Aiden's murder. Later, it was dark by the time Loralee and August returned to the house. They went in and headed upstairs. We'd better clean up, August suggested, turning on the light in their bedroom. Loralee caught his meaning and started to undress. She knew intimacy with August was just what she needed to help take her mind off of killing Aiden. She let her t-shirt drop and moved her hands behind her back to unhook her bra. Then she saw something strange on August's desk. What's that? Loralee asked, moving to it. Nothing, August replied quickly. Come on, Loralee. Let's go have some alone time in the shower. Loralee opened the ancient-looking book and saw the pages written in another language. Much to her surprise, she could understand them. Loralee became angry and turned to August. This is a Hellweaver Bible. Why do you have it? When August didn't answer her, she became angrier. Are you working with Hellweaver to take my soul? August raised his hands up in front of him. I don't know what you're talking about, honey. When Loralee saw August's eyes, she knew he would try to flee the room. As he made his attempt, Loralee grabbed him and slammed him against the wall. Why do you have a Hellweaver Bible? Loralee demanded again. Have you been working with Hellweaver against me this whole time? I thought we loved each other. Why?" When Loralee's eyes glowed hot with anger, August came clean. I found the book at a second-hand bookseller at the start of sophomore year. I was surprised I could read it, so I bought it. Then I brought it home and summoned my Hellweaver. I made a bargain with her for my warlock powers. If you made a deal with my Hellweaver, I swear I don't know anything about it." Loralee leaned in so that their noses almost touched. "You're still not telling me everything. I swear I'll break every bone in your body before I let you claim me for Hellweaver. Now, tell me the truth." August took a deep breath. "You died that day when Aiden found you with Deborah in the varsity locker room. I told Deborah I'd stay with you while she went to Principal Gaster's office to call for help. You died shortly after. That's when I used my new powers to bring you back to life as my revenant, my protector, my lover." He took another deep breath. "I've wanted you for so long, Loralee, but you were only into girls. Thanks to the powers my Hellweaver gave me, I got everything I ever wanted. You, most of all." Loralee gasped when she understood everything. "So that's why I came to love you. Even though I returned from Melisande Paula, I truly thought I'd fallen in love with you naturally. But you manipulated me all along." She suddenly punched a hole in the wall next to his head. "How long were you and Hellweaver plotting against me, August? I won't ask again." August shook his head, slowly. "Loralee, I seriously never made any deal against you. Do you have your own deal with my Hellweaver? If you do, I don't know anything about it. I just told you I've been serving my Hellweaver for a long time. How do you think I had the power to bring you back to life? I knew it had to be you who killed Ali Prinz. And Aiden. I know you killed him to protect us." Loralee shook with both rage and hurt. "But you manipulated me into loving you, knowing I could never love a man." August was afraid now. "Loralee, please don't be this way. We love each other. We can make this work." Loralee began to cry at remembering how she loved Melisande Paula. Now Melisande was in a relationship with Arnie Rathman and would never love her back. She also remembered Hellweaver's warning about fate. She had killed August in her original timeline upon her resurrection. Now fate came back to bite her real good in this new version of her life. "It's over, August," Loralee growled. "You used me for your own selfish desires. You kept me from my destiny. Hellweaver will take my soul for sure. Now, you die."
Shh, it was only the wind. You're safe. Weekly Spooky will be right back.
When Loralee went for the killing blow, August ducked and escaped the bedroom to move downstairs. When he saw Loralee at the top, he pointed up at her. "Stop! I restored your life. I can just as easily take it away." "Not before I kill you," Loralee disagreed. August sneered. "You won't reach me in time. My parents certainly didn't when I gave them to my Hellweaver in exchange for my gifts." Loralee saw they were a good 15 feet apart when August began his spell. "No!" Loralee choked when she felt herself glowing and desperately leaped down the stairway. Unfortunately, August completed the spell. Loralee stopped still as she landed in front of him. She shook for a moment before she felt the power that had resurrected her into a revenant, leaving her. Loralee blacked out and fell to the floor at August's feet. From there, he lowered himself and claimed the orb that rose from Loralee's now lifeless body. Then, Hellweaver appeared beside him. "My Hellweaver!" August said in surprise. "Did you make a deal with Loralee too?" Hellweaver responded, "I did. Nothing for you to be concerned about." August knelt before Hellweaver and kissed his goddess's hand. "What is your command?" "Arise, August Boldman, and continue with your work as I have instructed you." "Yes, my Hellweaver." August replied gratefully and stood up. Then he presented Loralee's orb to her. "Are you here to claim Loralee's soul? It's yours. You may keep it in your possession until I require it." August nodded once. "Yes, my Hellweaver." From there, Hellweaver vanished and returned to perdition. August wanted Loralee back. He figured he could at least cast another spell and make her his girlfriend again, at least until Hellweaver would return to claim her soul. Perdition. Sin seemed angry upon her mother's return. "Why would you allow that pathetic weakling to serve you, Mom?" Hellweaver answered, "He is most loyal to me and has proven his worth many times. He has not yet reached his full potential, but he shall with my guidance. Understand that all who serve me have their uses. Would you have me claim your life, Sin? You said so yourself that you have failed me twice, and you serve me, do you not?" Sin nodded once. "I understand, Mom, and I'm sorry." Hellweaver caressed the side of her face again. "Like August Boldman, you still have much to learn." Sin became eager again. "You now have 2 souls. Who shall be your last conquest in the final contest?" Hellweaver smiled gleefully. "I have given this a great deal of thought. After much consideration, I shall choose a fellow immortal. Bella Tabon." Sin suddenly became enraged to where her hair burst into flames and stood up defiantly against her mother. "Are you a fool?" She pointed to the Infinity Core. "Why would you offer Bella Tabon a second chance? A Tabon is not so easily defeated." Hellweaver remained patient. "Once again, you have much to learn. As your loving mother, I shall have the utmost patience and teach you." Sin's body now burned with fire. "Do you not wish to escape perdition, where you have been imprisoned for so long?" Her fire raged hotter with her anger. "I found and brought you that lost Tabon tome to give you the second chance compact and finally free you." She screamed as fire burst from her body. "You shall have no claim to the souls that you've won, should you fail against Bella Tabon." Sin ascended slowly as she roared. "Why are you fighting with me?" Soon, Sin's fire diminished with her despair. She fell and landed on her knees as she began to cry. "I just want to free you, Mom. I feel as though my efforts are meaningless to you." Hellweaver still remained patient. "Arise, my baby, that I may teach you, for soon it shall be the end game. And Bella Tabon shall become the final piece of your puzzle. Join me at the Infinity Core again and learn." Sin rose to her feet and obeyed her mother. Deep down, she still had doubts. At the same time, she remembered that her mother was the Hellweaver. When they were seated again, Sin conceded to her. "Teach me, Mom, that I may understand." Hellweaver smiled devilishly at knowing that both the endgame and the next stage of her master plan were about to begin.
You're not safe yet. Weekly Spooky will be right back.
They watched the history of Bella Tabon as the goddess explained this crucial step of her master plan. Bella Tabon's life was not an easy one. Just being a pure-blooded Tabon assured that. Bella began her training when she was just 3 years old. The Tabon family lived within the safety of Ravenhenge, the ancient homeland that was built by the first, known as Iomir. By the time Bella was 6 years old, she was a trained killer. Of course, she would never take innocent people. Her older brother Nicholas often chastised Bella for never being on his level, and called her the runt of the Tabon litter. However, Solomon and Anathea, their grandparents, found ways to better them through their best attributes. With Bella, she would prove to be crafty and clever, earning the nickname of Little Devil by Anathea. She could often get under Nicholas's skin with just her craftiness and unwavering determination alone. Unfortunately, the Tabon family had an adoptive daughter they were raising named Cassilia. Though she carried the Tabon name, Bella blamed her for her parents' deaths and would never acknowledge her as a member of the family. Things got worse when Bella discovered that Nicholas and Cassilia were secretly involved romantically. The Tabon family had been reduced through the years by a powerful master vampire known as Thornton Gillian. The day came when he actually crossed the boundaries of Ravenhenge himself and attacked the family. Bella learned that he had help when Cassilia revealed herself to be both the betrayer and Gillian's lover, revealing her naturally evil nature. Cassilia watched as Gillian decimated the rest of the family, with the exception of Bella. Gillian had injured her, but left her alive to be the last Tabon. Determined to end Thornton Gillian and Cassilia, Bella trained on her own through her physical and emotional pain. She learned and perfected new fighting techniques and magics in preparation for her final battle with Gillian. When she felt she had trained enough, she set out to find him. Along the way, Bella found Cassilia and bested her. Unable to destroy Cassilia because of her alien attributes, Bella could only place her within a crypt where she was bound by a crucifix and staked through the heart. If Bella could not truly destroy Cecilia, then she would imprison and incapacitate her. Bella destroyed all of Thornton Gillian's tribes until he himself was forced to confront her in a final contest. Bella fought valiantly against Gillian and sustained heavy injuries, but she had finally succeeded in destroying Thornton Gillian. 2 weeks from her battle, Bella passed out. Unfortunately for her, blood from Gillian's corpse dripped and poured into her wounds, mixing with her pure and special Tabon blood. Bella awakened, renewed and transformed into a unique master vampire. Realizing she was both a non-blood drinker and a daywalker, she used her new powers to continue the Tabon family business of stopping malevolent supernatural forces from harming innocents. Bella would learn newer ways to fight in her immortal years of walking the earth. Her greatest attribute was that no matter what happened that could spell the end of her life, Bella simply couldn't seem to die. She currently resided in Strickfield with her friend Aileen Donnerly, whom she had taken on as her partner against the supernatural. Bella herself had been aware of the Hellweaver from her teachings in Ravenhenge. When the events ended, Hellweaver made her daughter smile from ear to ear upon finishing her explanation of her master plan. "Now, do you understand, Sin?" Hellweaver asked. "Yes!" Sin hissed excitedly. "Forgive me for my outburst earlier, Mom. Time and time again, I have told you that I must teach you. Now it is time to continue my master plan." Hellweaver stood. "I shall go to Bella Tabon at once, gaze into the Infinity Core and watch. I assure you that Tabon shall accept my offer. See if I am not correct." "I shall," Sin said, barely able to contain her excitement. Hellweaver again assumed her astral projection and left Perdition to meet up with Bella Tabon. Loralee Hardy was given her second chance. She saved a life, but lost herself again. Now with 2 souls claimed and 2 redeemed, Hellweaver prepares for the final piece in her twisted puzzle. Next week, we leave the mortal world behind and enter a war between gods, monsters, and one immortal who refuses to die. The endgame begins. Join us next Wednesday for the conclusion to our summer miniseries, Deadly Second Chances. Make sure you're subscribed on your favorite podcasting app. And thank you all so much for joining us here at Weekly Spooky. We really do appreciate it. And this Friday, we'll have a little something special for you from Edgar Allan Poe to help make your summer weekend that much more chilling. And on Monday, we return with Monthly Spooky, a news and comedy talk show we do every month to round out the spooky with a little bit of fun. And I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who goes to weeklyspooky.com/join. For as little as $1 a month, you get 2 bonus episodes every month. And if you're a Patreon podcast booster, you get to hear your name at the end of the show. Like Johnny Nix, Kate and Lulu, Jessica Fuller, Mike Eschewey, Jenny Green, Amber Hansford, Karen Weemet, Jack Kerr, and Craig Cohen. If you want to hear your name at the end of every episode, just head to weeklyspooky.com/join and sign up at the $15 a month tier or higher. It really helps us keep the show going, and I cannot tell you how much it means to me. But now it's time for me to get back to work. October is just around the corner, and we'll have 31 shows in 31 days to scare you. We've been bringing you Weekly Spooky for almost 6 years straight. We haven't missed a week, and we have no plans on stopping. So, for myself, for my executive producers Rob Fields and Bobbletopia.com, my producer Dan Wilder, and my composer Ray Mattis, I will talk at you later.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to find your way back next week. But for now, you are safe. Trust me.